Well, folks, it's the middle of an election year here in the United States, and things are truly terrible. I have never been more passionately opposed to almost every candidate from both major parties in my lifetime. Usually, the Republicans are smart enough to work really hard to make it seem like they are working on behalf of the voters during an election year. They normally are really good at stoking fear about the Democrats and about why we should vote for them, even though we have our differences. We might not like people like McConnell or Mike Johnson, but we have to set aside those differences because we have a greater enemy, and that is the evil Democrats. I have no idea, honestly, what the Democrats are up to these days, because all I seem to see are examples of the Republicans stabbing us in the back, insulting their own voters, and demonstrating their utter contempt for the right half of America, as well as the left half of America that makes less than $250,000 a year. And so at this point, Republicans really don't have any constituency, except for maybe the Israel lobby and the Ukraine lobby. Oh, and the CIA. Although the CIA is not going to like the Republicans these days as much as they like the Democrats, because there are a few dissenters amongst the Republican Party. And so, at the end of the day, the CIA sees the Dems, the current Democrats, as the safer bet, just as they saw the Republicans as the safer bet for much of recent political history. The 1980s, the 2000s, that's when the Republicans were really seen to be in true lockstep with the CIA. They were synonymous. And now, there's little cracks in the foundation on the Republican side, coming, of course, mostly from the voters, but most notably from Donald Trump, who, it cannot be avoided, is the Republican nominee for president, and that is something that is going to stick in a lot of people's craws. So no matter how much Mike Johnson kisses up to the security state, you're not going to have the CIA rigging any elections in favor of the GOP unless you have some kind of rare these days anti-war Democrat. At the end of the day, the Republicans are running on absolutely nothing that matters to me, or from what I can tell, that matters to any normal person. I mean, really, are your priorities Ukraine or Israel? That's kind of what the Republicans have to offer right now. They're not running on doing anything that is going to make their base happy. They're not running on, I don't know, repealing gun laws, or, they're not even running on tax cuts. This is the bare minimum the Republicans always ran on, was tax cuts. They don't even do that anymore. The most basic thing. And it's not like tax cuts are great for everyone, because, if you're sufficiently poor, you don't pay taxes anyway. And so, But still, for a lot of people, if you do pay any taxes, it's always good to have those go down. So tax cuts are a good thing to run on. Don't get me wrong. But this time, at least from what I can see, because here's the thing, I'm a moderately engaged voter, I would say. I used to be a highly engaged voter, but these days I try to avoid it. And I think that's more indicative of where the country is as a whole. I think that most people have been turned off as much as I have, so me going from a super highly engaged voter to a moderately engaged voter means that moderately engaged voters of a few years ago are now completely tuned out. And people who, were not interested in politics to begin with definitely are not interested in it now. And so that's a bad thing for the Republicans. It also would be a bad thing for Democrats if it's equal. I can't speak to Democrat enthusiasm because I have never been a Democrat. I've never really been engaged with that side too much. I guess, there's a certain level of energy that comes, energization, whatever the term, that comes from the orange man being on the ballot. I know that They're very upset with him, and they don't like that he's orange. So the Dems have that going for them. But the Republicans, they got nothing. And Trump himself, I don't think, I just don't think he doesn't seem that present. And for good reason. He's got a lot of crap that he's dealing with. He's got the legal witch hunts that are going on against him. He's got the trial in New York City, which is absolutely, it's absolutely, I don't know, can I use the R word? I don't know if I can. I might get this video taken down for, spreading misinformation about the American justice system. I don't know if we're allowed to question the justice system. I know we're not allowed to question the elections, so I had to stop doing that. But, am I allowed to question jury trials in this country? The objectivity of juries? Perhaps even the very concept? I don't know. But here's what I'll say. What is happening to old Donaldo Trumpo is far from fair. And so, naturally, he's going to be less focused on running a presidential campaign than he otherwise would be. And so perhaps that's why I'm not seeing much of him. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not seeing much of him. So whether or not he has a good excuse or not, it is what it is. I think the Republicans had more going for them in 2022, which is not saying very much because they didn't do well, than they do in 2024. Now, this is usually the part where I say about my predictions, I'd love to be proved wrong, but, do I really? I'm not going to be excited if the Republicans win. It'll be, I guess it'd be nice to see, Trump win, because that will be more exciting, to have him as president than Sleepy Joe. But that's just a pure, entertainment factor. That has nothing to do with, are things going to get better? I don't know. I think that, Trump's, the benefits of the Trump presidency were more indirect than direct. It wasn't so much about what he wanted to accomplish and what his specific policy goals were. It was just how alien he was to the system and the allergic reaction that it had to him, and how that exposed so much about how our government works, and how it woke up so many of his voters. Hell, even people who weren't his voters, who just, pointed at it and said, oh my God, look, our government is out of control, I didn't vote for Trump, but, this witch hunt is clearly about crushing dissent. And so I guess to a certain extent, my investment in this election really is just in seeing Trump prevail, not for his own sake, not for the sake of necessarily his policies, which I haven't heard much about. I don't really know what he's running on, other than I know he's not going to ban abortion. That's the one thing I know about Trump. There's one message I heard loud and clear. Everything else is all up in the air. Who knows? He may ban guns. He may ban handguns on his first day in office by executive order. I don't know. The one thing I know is that Trump is not going to ban abortion. He made that abundantly clear. But I would like to see him prevail for no other reason than to see the system taken down a peg. And you know what? I forgot. Trump is, I believe, running on some extent of Pat Buchanan's old idea of gutting the administrative state. I don't know if that'll happen. Frankly, I doubt it. I would like to see it happen. But if he doesn't get to the White House, we'll never find out. And if he doesn't get to the White House, the worst people in Washington, well, all the people in Washington are bad. The worst people in America, who make up probably 99.9% of the population of Washington, they will be very, very happy. Because even though I don't see Trump as this great threat to the regime that they see him as, the fact that they are so afraid of him is causing them to be sloppy and lose their grip on power. And I want that to continue. I want that to accelerate. I want the CIA to continue screwing up. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.